Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. So the top 5 project management tools in 2025, and as the title mentioned, with a little bit of twist. Now look guys, the project management space is flooded right now, okay? Tools, checklists, apps, AI dashboards, all supposedly trying to make the project manager's job easier, right? Now this sounds great. However, being in this industry for more than 15 years now, I can confidently say that most of these tools are either distractions, unnecessary digitization, basic automations disguised under the term AI, or just redundant features now in search of a problem because the companies have to justify their business and make the investors happy. You see guys, we have reached a point where a lot of these so-called tools are solving things that weren't even broken in the first place, okay? By the way, if you are new here, I am Ray and I'm a PMP and a PRINCE2 certified project manager with over 15 years of experience in project management. I currently work as a program manager in the UK and I have been coaching project professionals for over 5 years now, helping them to build solid, long-lasting careers in project management. And in this video, I'm going back to the basics, cutting all the hoo-ha with the AI and digitization around project management, and I'll walk you through 5 project management tools or techniques that are essential and foundational today, and they still form the cornerstones of project management. These are simple, old school, but highly effective and efficient, and they still work better than most of the new trends you see online, okay? So let's start with something that's been around for ages, okay? Microsoft Excel. Now look, I know what some of you might be thinking. Excel in 2025? In the age of ChatGPT, Perplexity and Claude? Well, yes, okay? And here is why. You see guys, Excel is still one of the most useful tools in a project manager's toolkit, especially when it comes to budgeting, costing, scheduling, resource allocation, stakeholder profiling, you name it, okay? You are not always going to have access to Primavera or MS Project or high-end tools, particularly in small or mid-size setups. And even when you have access to such tools, guess what all of their base platforms are? It's Microsoft Excel, okay? So whether it's tracking actuals versus forecast, managing simple RAID logs, or building your own earned value calculator, Excel gives you full control, okay? If you don't know how to use the basic formulas, pivot tables, filters, conditional formatting, basic Power BI dashboards, etc., that's where your time as a project manager should go first, okay? It's not fancy, however, it's very reliable, omnipresent, and I am not aware of even a single project manager who has delivered a project without using MS Excel. Okay guys, so the next tool is estimation techniques. Now this isn't a software tool but an empirical one, okay? However, trust me, if you don't know how to estimate properly, be it cost, be it schedule, resources, etc., no tool will save your project. No other fancy automation tool will save your project, okay? You see, estimation is where most new or inexperienced project managers mess up, either by copying old numbers or relying on what someone casually have said in a meeting, or just providing too optimistic or too pessimistic estimates. Now, undoubtedly, that's not the sign of a good project manager, right? As a PM, you need to know how to use techniques like bottoms-up estimation, analogous estimation, 3-point estimation, 80-20 estimating, and when to use each one of them, right? So for example, bottoms-up estimation is a fantastic tool for detailed scope definition. On the other side of the spectrum, analogous estimation helps when you have similar past projects. And talking about 3-point estimates, it gives you a realistic range when things are uncertain. Finally, as you gain experience in your field, you start moving towards 80-20 estimates based on established frameworks. Also, don't just use a technique just for the sake of it, okay? You should justify its usage with the context when you are using it. Stakeholders respect clarity more than confidence, okay? So before you worry about which tool you are using, ask yourself, are you even estimating the right way? Because poor estimates mean poor planning, and that's where the project losses begin at the very early stages of a project if the estimations for scheduling, cost, resourcing, etc. is not done properly at the planning stages of a project. Alright guys, now moving on, let's talk about something very basic. Unfortunately, most project managers either skip it or treat it like a formality. Project initiation documents or PIDs. You see, this one artifact makes up the direction for the entire project, right? It defines the scope, the objectives, stakeholders, constraints, and even how decisions will be made in your life cycle of the project. If your PID is vague, your project will be vague, okay? Plain and simple. Now, talking about the benefits, if you write a clear PID or project initiation documentation, a lot of things can go on autopilot after that. Stakeholders know what they signed up for, and change requests do not become arguments because now they follow a process, right? However, if you skip this step, every small issue becomes a negotiation, and no AI or automation based tool can save you here, okay? Because these tools are also as good or are as bad as your PIDs are. So guys, I'd say don't rush through the process of the PID creation. Take your time, get your input from your sponsor, validate the assumptions with your stakeholders, align on deliverables, and get it signed. Always remember that a good PID saves you weeks of firefighting later, okay? Now, PIDs, you can call it a tool, an artifact, or a standard. Whichever way you put it, a project simply cannot be successful without a robust PID. But mind it, it can still be successful without using ChatGPT, Claude, or Perplexity. I hope you get the drift. If you're liking the video, guys, please press the like button and subscribe to this channel. It helps me to understand that you value such content and motivates me to prepare more such videos like this for you. Okay, now it's time to move on to number 4, which is critical path identification and management. Indeed, it's quite technical in project management, identifying a critical path. However, if you get it right, your entire project tracking improves dramatically, okay? You see, most people build a project schedule, they assign dates and they just move on, okay, based on the tasks and the dates. They hardly identify the critical path, the near critical path, etc. And that's where the primary risk originates in a project. The critical path in a project shows the longest chain of dependent tasks, right? Which means any delay on that path delays your entire project. So while other tasks may have some float or buffer, the tasks on critical path does not have any buffer or slack time. Now, mostly project managers try to manage everything with equal urgency, and sometimes even your boss might say so, okay? Everything is urgent. Trust me guys, that's never efficient or productive. You might as well tell this to your boss. You have got to focus on where the risk is genuine and has the highest impact. If the critical path has 5 tasks, those are your priority check-ins, okay? Not the other 20 plus low impact admin items on your schedule. Tools like MS Project, Primavera, and even Excel, they all help you to map the critical path if you know how to do it. So do not ignore this skill, okay? It makes you a lot more predictable project manager who is foundational and who knows what the priorities are, right? Finally, here is the last and the simplest tool on this list: minutes of meeting and associated action logs. Now look, most project managers treat this task as an admin work, okay? They think it's optional or that someone else will take care of it. And exactly that's where things go wrong. Every project has meetings, okay? However, unless you are tracking what was discussed, what was decided, and who owns what by when, you are just going around in circles. Later, when deadlines slip or someone just says that I wasn't aware, you have got no proof, right? So it's about accountability as well. That's where a proper action log really helps. So guys, never ignore this, okay? It's one of the least exciting tools. However, I do promise that it builds trust, it builds structure, and it is the backbone of a successful project. And interestingly, here is where you can actually use AI, Check out tools such as Otter.ai or Microsoft Copilot. They will help you a lot to become efficient chairing meetings and later summarizing the meetings and action logs out of the meetings. So those were the 5 project management tools or techniques I still consider essential even in 2025. You see guys, tools come and go, right? New platforms show up every year. Something is in style today and there is something new tomorrow, right? However, the fundamental skills of a project manager, for example, estimating correctly, tracking your project schedule, documenting clearly, profiling your stakeholders, defining a robust PID, those never go out of style. So the bottom line is, just do not get into the bandwagon of using tools and AI platforms to create a style statement or that yo factor in your projects, okay? Because no one really cares what tools and automations you have used if your project is a failure, right? But here I will leave it to your judgment to find a balance with the principles which I have discussed in this video, and only use a tool or a automation or a AI platform if it really adds value with the intent for which you are using that tool for, okay? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video.